The very last episode of Tales from the Darkside, episode 20 of season 4. This one's called Basher Malone. But not the last review. I'll be doing top 10s on the entire series and also covering the 2 secret episodes that are found on the DVD set. But this is the last official episode, released July 24th, 1988, as Tales from the Darkside would not be renewed for a 5th season. Oh, so sad. And already we can see at the beginning of this episode that they're pulling out all the stops. It starts with a wrestling match. And this scene contains more extras and a larger cast than we've seen in this entire season. Tales from the Darkside almost always does 3, 4, or maybe 5 characters. Here, there's a main cast of 10, and then what looks to be about 40 or 50 extras that they keep showing during this wrestling match. Very impressive. But that doesn't mean that episode is good. This is a goofy one. And it features Basher Malone, played by real-life wrestler Stephen Capello, who was known as the California Terminator. For 7 years, from 1973 to 1980, he competed in the NWA Hawaii League. And there are some clips of him actually wrestling floating around online, but as I've seen other creators try to put up wrestling clips, probably the most heavily copyrighted, that in the NFL. Sport in existence. So, if you want to see him really wrestle, you can look those up. And in this episode, they seem to pretend like wrestling is real, since Basher Malone is a wrestler with a heart of gold, and he's the good guy, and he keeps winning these matches against these bad boy wrestlers. And they're pretending like this stuff is actually real and not scripted. Vic Tayback plays a crooked manager, Tippy Ryan, who is on a mission to take down Basher Malone and make sure that he loses once and for all, because the audience wants the good guy and he wants the heel to win, since all of his wrestlers are the bad guys. Once again, they could just talk to the wrestling commission and go, hey, can we have him win next time? Here, I'll give you some money. Make a storyline about being in a love triangle with a girl from Wisconsin. You get to see some decent wrestling moves, but it's interjected with corny scenes of Basher Malone's mother feeding him milk and cookies. Like, this is not funny at all and is so unnecessary. I'd rather just watch the wrestling unfold without her putting cookies in Basher Malone's mouth. It's ridiculous. Not in a good way.
Your cookies and milk, sweetie.
Okay, Mom. The one-way ticket to La La Land.
And I believe they're doing a callback to the first episode, The New Man, which also featured Vic Tayback. He was in the very first episode, Tales from the Darkside. Now he's in the very last one. But he did a much better job in The New Man. He's just not pulling off the seasoned, grizzled wrestling manager in this fantasy world. I'm not sure if he's trying to be like a boxing promoter like Customato or what. They seem to be mixing up boxing and wrestling. So Vic Tayback challenges Basher Malone to a real fight. Mano e mano. Well, not with him, but with one of his other heel wrestlers, named Trog. And if Basher Malone wins, Vic Tayback himself will close down his gym and lay off all his bad wrestlers, so only the good wrestlers survive. And if Basher Malone loses, he has to give up professional wrestling forever. Once again, don't think no, this is fate. I feel like this would have been better if it was an actual boxing match, because that stuff's real. At least it's supposed to be real. It just doesn't really work in the world of wrestling. I'm already confused. But this is a funny episode with some mystical powers that we're about to see. And after all, this guy's mother is feeding him cookies, so what do you expect? While the production values are the highest we've seen for this season, the script is lacking. And the tone is completely inconsistent and goofy. Like, am I supposed to enjoy the wrestling parts? Am I supposed to think it's funny when people yell for Basher Malone? So now we get the amazing battle between Basher Malone and Trog. And this part seems rushed. There are several mistakes that I noticed. For one thing, Trog appears from the pits of hell, and he has a trick. Same way Basher Malone has a trick with his mother's cookies that give him lots of energy. Maybe like crack cookies or something. Trog can power up, like Torgo from Yu Yu Hakusho, and he gets bigger and bigger until finally he's so big that Basher Malone can't take him on. Except for in something like Yu Yu Hakusho, you actually see Torgo get bigger. He goes, I'm 20%. You go, oh, he's bigger. I'm 40%. Oh, he has more muscles now. In this one, it's like they forgot to do this part. They show his belt going from 50 to 60 to 70, and they even screw that up because the LED lights on the belt are so blurry, you can barely see the numbers. You can see it if you make it really small, but if you blow it up on a TV or even a computer screen, it looks like this. They obviously messed up these LED lights. I don't know how this got passed, and you see this many, many times where you're supposed to see him power up. And yet, the red lights are super blurry. So, good job. But the craziest part is, you don't see him get bigger. It's like they wrote this part in the script. He's going to get bigger and bigger and get more muscles, so Basher Malone's going to have a hard time taking him on. And then they just don't ever do that. He looks exactly the same the entire time. They don't even put him in a muscle suit. They don't even show close-ups of his biceps that look bigger. They do nothing. This is so rushed. It makes me want to scream, what were they thinking? So you get some wrestling between Trog and Basher Malone, who supposedly is leveling up, but you never see him level up. And then Basher Malone just ends up winning, with his mom being his corner woman in her Mother Goose outfit, telling him she's going to give him cookies and presents and cheering him on. This could have been done a lot better. I think I'm going to have to give this a 3 out of 10. It's close to a 4, but the shots with his mother are so annoying and unfunny, and they do it constantly. And then just the obvious mistakes of having him level up, but they don't even try to have him level up. Can't see the LED lights. The entire episode looks blurry as well. I have the DVD set. Stuff like Anniversary Dinner from Season 1 looks a lot better visually than this one. I don't know what happened to the cameras. Someone just smeared grease, or Basher Malone's sweat got on it or something. This is released in 88, and it looks worse than the pilot episode in 83 as far as the visual fidelity. I don't know what's going on here. Seems like the first part of this episode they put a bit of effort into, and then they just forgot about it. So I think Basher Malone's a pretty weak way to end the series, and most people seem to agree. After this, we'll cover the 2 secret episodes on the DVD, and then do some top 10s. But my overall thoughts for this series is, I think Monsters is a much stronger series, and it was the first one I covered. And if I had to do this all over again, I probably would have covered Tales from the Darkside in a year. But I just wanted to do both. They were both from the lulll company, and it made sense covering Monsters than doing Tales from the Darkside. But I think Tales from the Crypt is better. I think Twilight Zone is better. I think even something I covered like Fear itself is better. There's some good episodes in Tales from the Darkside. Watching them all the way through can be a bit of a slog. But it does get credit for kicking off the Anthology series. Anthologies were big in the 50s and 60s, stuff like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and then the 70s just took a lull. There's a fair amount of them in Britain in the 70s, like Circle of Fear, but in the United States, they fell out of favor, and then got re-energized in the 80s, with Freddy's Nightmares, Amazing Stories, Ray Bradbury Theater, which I've been watching and has some really good, interesting episodes, and Tales from the Darkside. So it can be credited for kicking off the 80s anthology wave that went into the 90s as well. There's been a bit of resurgence just because anthology shows can be quite cheap to do on streaming services like Netflix and Hulu. I'll be reviewing Blood Ride, which is a really good series from, I believe, Finland that has 6 episodes. 2 Sentence Horror Stories, which is kind of hilarious, not in a good way. And the Guillermo del Toro series, Cabinet of Curiosities. And of course Black Mirror, which I've been reviewing, so it is interesting seeing the 70s. Basically none, except some in like Britain. A ton at the end of the 90s, not as many. Now they're making a resurgence a bit. Which means this channel will go on forever because they continually make new series. I want to cover some of the older ones first, but we're going to be covering the new ones as well. Also, the copyright in the new ones are making me bang my head against the wall. That's why I have to use still images and less footage than I used to. Because Netflix is on to me. This person gave it a 4 out of 10. Wrestling spoof. Basher Malone was the final ever episode of Tales from the Darkside, and the best thing I can say about it is that it isn't the worst. It's a comic story that tells of a fan favorite wrestler who finds himself against an opponent from hell, literally. Portal of Hell is in a Pepsi machine. I liked it better in Reaper, and the Portal of Hell was in the DMV. That made more sense. And funnier. Said wrestler is a lovable, Roddy Piper type who finds his strength from eating his mama's cookies, but he meets a nefarious promoter who decides to conjure up a demonic opponent to test his mettle. This is a broad comedy played for laughs, clearly paying homage to the then popular sport of wrestling. So I think his opponent is supposed to be like a Mexican wrestler. You got the Libre mask. The acting is poor. Indeed. Wow, really poor. And the script just manages to reach about average, but it's clear to anyone watching that the producers were well short of ideas, so it's a blessing that the series ended at this point. Oh, come on. Give us another season. Why not? I wanted to see what would happen if they went into the 90s, and now they got way better technology. Because you look at something from 86, it looks old. You look at something from 96, it looks way better. And I think they learned a lot. So, nah, I say give it a few more seasons. Especially considering how great Monsters is. This person gave it an 8 out of 10. Good old mom. This final series episode is very silly, but funny. It's very dumb, but has a lot of charm. In some respects, It was kind of an odd way to end the horror series, since it was 100% humor and 100% suspense, but at least it was entertaining. That's what I liked about Tales from the Darkside, the humor. Yeah, I mean, Monsters ended on The Moving Finger, which was a complete horror episode and was a really bloody episode, so they were just giving a middle finger to everyone. Just throwing blood at the wall and going, here, that's how we're ending the series. In fact, the last shot is him in a room after cutting up this finger, blood all over the walls, blood on him. And you go, there you go, that's how we're ending the series. That's cool. I approve. This ends with a mom in a fake granny outfit yelling at her son. Okay. Real life wrestler Steve Strong plays Basher Malone, a grappler who really gets under the skin of an opposing trainer manager, Tippy Ryan. It seems Ryan's boys just can't beat the Basher, and he can't take it any longer. Ryan, played by the raspy voice Vic Tayback of TV's Alice fame, also the new man, makes a deal with the devil to make sure Basher doesn't win anymore. Basher is unaware of this and stupidly agrees to a match with a man from hell, except for it doesn't look like a portal from hell at all. He has no hellish powers. He's supposed to get bigger and he doesn't. Not even any devil horns. However, one person won't let the good guy lose. Basher's mom. Mom, played by Bria Den, mom with her chocolate chip cookies, oh god, not again, and pep talk to her obnoxious and dumb son is the star of this episode. Wow. Hard to disagree. The season ends with the normal. Devil gets his due, which is always satisfying, even if it is a bit corny. 8 out of 10. Well, that's it for the entire series. We'll do some top 10s, some secret episodes, and I will now be starting Twilight Zone, and later this year, Tales from the Crypt and Goosebumps, where I'm going to read every single Goosebumps book and compare it to the episode. Oh, it's going to be fun. Here's a montage of some of the favorite and unfavoritist moments of Tales from the Darkside, put to the music of a Scottish band, Penfold, whose music is not copyrighted. Yay! So that means I can use it. Thanks, Penfold.
been lost for so long. Shout it out for every day you've been gone. Since then, I've been lost for so long. Shout it out for every day you've been gone. Since then, I've been lost for so long. Shout it out for every day you've been gone. Whoa! Since then, I've been lost for so long. Shout it out for every day you've been gone. Since then, I've been lost for so long. You were everything to me, my last opportunity. Since then, I've been lost for so long. Shout it out for every day you've been gone. Since then, I've been lost for so long.